Hello everybody in YouTube world, how you doing? I hope everyone's doing well, staying safe and healthy. And I've got a video today for you of a Husqvarna 435 X-torq chainsaw. Basically it won't stay running, has a tough time to get started and running, so needs the carb to go through, no doubt about it. So I'm going to show you how. This is the model, as I said, Husqvarna 435 X-torq. The customer, the guy who I'm doing this for, he's actually not paying. I'm doing him a favor as he's doing me a favor. So he's already removed the bar because he was looking at it, working on it a little bit. And basically, to access everything, there's 3 clips right here. They are pretty stiff, so if you can't get them with your finger, very gently pry with a flathead screwdriver, very slowly and gently, and you'll feel it pop off. After you take off those 3 clips, the top simply slides right off, and you can access everything this way. So there'll be a little clip right here. You pop that clip down, and your air cleaner assembly will come right off. This is basically your air intake to the carburetor and the motor. So then, to remove, you have to remove this black air plenum basically to get to the carburetor. It is a 5/32 Allen head you're going to need. You're most likely going to need something like this, as this top bolt here, which I've already removed. It's pretty long, but this top bolt here, you're going to need either a short 90-degree, or you're going to need a ball end Allen that can go on something longer. I use a short 90-degree, and there's another bolt that goes down to the bottom right here as well, and there is one more bolt. Again, they're all the same length, all the same size, and the other one is right down here. So you might miss that one. It's a little tough to see, but it's down inside there. If you don't have a 5/32 Allen, a 4mm will do as well. I'm going to try to slide that bolt out. So that's all 3, and now this part will be able to come off. I'm just going to set the phone down to be able to do this so I have both hands. Alright, so first I'm going to have to remove the choke assembly. It's just one Phillips head screw. It's right here that goes into the side. Take that single screw out, and then you're simply going to slide the choke assembly off. Now you see there's a little notch right here. So when you reinstall it, that notch goes on the notch that's on the rotating assembly. Then right here, right behind the air box, this right here is a rubber mount. And what you want to do is kind of give a little pressure, and right where that rubber mount is, push it back a little bit and pop the plastic mount out. There's a little tab there. Be very careful with it. Pry nice and easy. When you get that part off, separate the air box a little bit here. And slowly and carefully slide that air plenum over to where the primer pops out of it. You have to be careful, of course. There's a couple wires that go to the switch for the choke assembly and shut off. So careful those wires, you don't pull on them. What I'm going to do now is take a little pair of pliers, just pull them off. Always keep note where they go. The blue one on this particular one goes on the bottom, and the black one goes on the top side or front side. There you go. That was very stiff, but got it off. You just don't want to be tugging on those wires and have it pull off from someplace else, you know? So now we have the throttle lever here that we need to take apart. You're also going to want to pop off these fuel lines. So this is the top one, I believe, is the air line for the primer, and the bottom one is the actual fuel line there. I removed this line from here also. It kind of goes here on a mount to the air line. So take the air box assembly and slightly and carefully just give it a little twist, a little pressure, and that lever will pop up. Then you can slide the assembly off the carburetor with the arm there. Little tab there. And slide the carburetor out. And pop the fuel line off right here. We might have some fuel that comes out of there, but there she is. She's off. We're going to go through this, clean everything, take off these 4 screws on the bottom, clean everything in there. You see there's a diaphragm on this side. You got the needle valve right here. So we're going to spray through all of the ports on here. I'm going to pop this needle valve out by taking this little screw out. It's going to be number 1, very small Phillips head. I'm going to pop that off to get the pin out, and this lever that pops the needle valve. This might be really tight, so you're going to want to apply some good pressure down as it turns. Don't lose that screw, of course. Very small. Don't lose the spring that goes underneath also, or the pin, or the needle valve. I'm sorry, but the hands are going to inspect the needle valve. There's a little tiny bit of a groove there, but it's not too bad. I'm not worried about that. We can reuse that for sure. I just finished cleaning through all the ports with carburetor cleaner and compressed air. So you want to make sure you get all these ports. This one's going to be coming out of this hole. This one's going to be coming out of here. That one's really important, as that's basically like your idle jet, and that's, you know, typically the smallest one, the smallest port, and that's what's going to get clogged. Also, I mean, everything's important, but this is also very important too. Where the needle valve goes, you want to make sure there's no debris in there that's going to prevent the needle valve from seating properly, or damage the tip of the needle valve. So we basically went through everything, cleaned it all, sprayed it with compressed air and carburetor cleaner, and now we're going to start reassembling. Pulled the diaphragm off. I inspected everything. Everything's good inside here. Typically with something like this, you definitely want to change these gaskets. I don't have a kit on me, and they're in very, very good condition. I don't see an issue with them not sealing properly or anything. They should be able to mount and seal no problem. So just set that in there. There is a tiny little dowel right here, so you just want to make sure that that dowel's in its spot, nice and firm, when you put that back on. So we're going to get the needle valve. The needle valve just slides right here and sits on that little nook. The spring is going to sit down inside this spot here. Just as so. So when you install this portion, slide the needle valve in. You want to make sure that that spring sits right on this little bump right there. Oh, sorry. Here, I'll show you just like this. So right there, a little indentation on the top, and right where that bump is, that's where that spring is going to rest. Just apply pressure with your thumb down as if you were seating it, not too hard. You don't want to damage the needle valve. Get that in there. Make sure you tighten your screws very well. Do not over tighten them so you don't break them. Just make sure that that needle valve is moving freely, feels nice. You want to make sure that there's a little tiny bit of play here before it actually opens the needle valve. That way nothing's jammed up in there or anything like that. I just evenly going from corner to corner. I'm going to snug these up at first. Just seat them in position well so that everything's even on the gasket. Then I'll go back through and tighten them down pretty good. That's it. Your carburetor assembly is back together, ready to be reinstalled. Now you're going to install the carburetor basically in the opposite steps you did to take it off. So you can see down here there's a little dowel locating pin. That pin is going to go right in this bottom left hole as you put the carburetor on. So we're going to attach the fuel line, and we're going to get that locating pin in there, and this little part clips to the very top edge of the carburetor to help secure it in. Should go pretty firmly into place and kind of just sit there once it hits that pin in this clip. Make sure that fuel line is in all the way there, and then going to reassemble this piece, and you got to get the throttle lever into the hole. So start twisting it in. Of course, always be careful. All this stuff is just plastic. You might have to dislodge the carburetor back apart a little bit if needed to be able to squeeze this in properly. But it will seat right back in. I went too far with the linkage before I got this tab back in the arm. There we go. So try to keep these wires out of the way so you can access them when it's time to reconnect that. It's tight. It's a lot of little finagling to get it down into where it needs to go. Come on. One thing I did also was manually open the choke lever so that the flap isn't sticking out from the carburetor. That typically helps. Get the primer in its spot. I think that's one of the issues I'm having right now is gotta get this in there. There we go. That wasn't lining up, so I was having a hard time getting the air plenum to line up. I'm just using this to move that rubber gasket. There we go, where the throttle linkage tab goes into. Alright, give a little movement, make sure that carburetor feels nice and tight in there. And kind of take a look and make sure that your holes seem to be lined up for where they meet the threads. I'm going to go in. Moving the wires out of the way right now a little bit, just so they're not getting caught on anything. It seems very good right there. Very carefully trying to pull out, there we go, the fuel line, so it got jammed in there slightly. So the fuel line goes on the bottom, air line goes on the top side, and then gets secured right where this little meeting point here. It's going to get secured right up in here. Click in that spot. Everything should line up pretty good. And I'm just going to go in, get these bolts started. I'm not going to tighten them all the way yet, just going to set them in. Not even really snug yet, just get them in the spot so that I know we have good thread started here. Now that we know we have all three in there good, go ahead and tighten them all down. This is where a straight one wouldn't work too well, so you have to either have a ball end Allen, as I do here, or use the right angle ratchet to get in there. Go through one more time, make sure everything's properly tightened. And we're good there. Give the throttle lever a little squeeze, make sure that the mechanical arm and everything seems to be opening and closing as it should. Nothing's binding or bent from when you took it apart and put it back together. And we're going to connect the wires. Remember the black one is the forward one. If I can get it down here, it's being a little stubborn right now. Now it connects to like a spring basically. It's, you know, part of the switch, but it's on a spring, so you do have to be careful when putting it on that you don't apply too much pressure bend that spring and mess anything up. Go. And then we get the blue one is going to go on the bottom or rear post. That's all connected. And we're going to get choke back, and as I said, there's a little notch there. It's pretty simple. Line up the notch with the other notch, put it into place. One screw in the center to hold it on. Make sure it's got the washer on there. There's a screw in the washer. The washer is actually holds this on. That on there. Make sure everything seems to be working good. Everything's good. Okay. Felt a little stiff, but it feels okay now. All right. Pop the airplane or air box back on. There we go. Put the clip up. And we just pop the cover back on. But before I pop the cover back on, I'm actually going to remove the spark plug and inspect that. So let's check that out real quick. Pull the cap off. Remove the plug. It's a 19 millimeter or 3/4. Wow, this thing's on there tight. Whew. I'll take it down to the ground a little firmer and there we go. I had to lay it down on the ground like this and really get on it. That was tight. Actually doesn't look too bad. So I don't see an issue with the spark plug. And it's not all fouled and black and sooty. Tighten it back up. Cap back on, make sure it's secured nice and good in its place. Cover back on, make sure the seam is good all the way around. Put your clips in. Just going to check on the fuel. Okay. Prime it a few times, make sure it builds up pressure and feels good, which it does. Move the choke out. there you have it. I'd love to get the bar and the chain from the guy and put it on and cut some wood to make sure it's going good, but he has all that, so if he wants to bring it to me, he's more than welcome. I'll put it on. If not, and hopefully he puts it on and he starts to cut wood, it doesn't bog down and runs good. Right now it seems to be running well, so there you have it. Rebuilding a carburetor, or recleaning, on a Husqvarna 435 X-torq. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I truly appreciate it.